Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on a Piney podcast. Little Joan won't stay in her bed. She ruined the previous take, so I had to start over. Smash like and subscribe. Oh, I forgot to turn on the keyboard. Smash like and subscribe. And check out my books, Wokistan, a novel. We just got a new review on Wokistan on Amazon. It's very tough to get reviews. And of course, the Pineys books 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pineys, help me out here. Give me a read and give me a review, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so getting back to the beer virus cases, 316 new cases and 4 deaths. Who knows if they actually happened today? 1.03 is the new transmission rate, although Murphy doesn't seem too upset about that. However, he says, I'm not shocked given the volume of positive tests we've had, Murphy said, noting the widespread availability of tests. But remember, overwhelmingly, 98% of people are testing negative. Why are we shutting down everything then? Look, opening up movie theaters, restaurants, all these places. People don't have to go. Okay? The people who are afraid, the people who are really worried about this pandemic, and the people who are most vulnerable do not have to go to the movies, the gym, the restaurants, anywhere. In fact, they shouldn't. Because if they have compromised immune systems, if they're very elderly, if they're like ready to enter hospice, they shouldn't go to any of those places right now because of the beer virus. But most people can. Like most people being like well over 95%, possibly over 98%. I mean, 98% of the people don't even have it. So what are we doing here? People have the mask. They know the social distance. They're wiping down everything. Just open the state. They opened South Dakota, and 80% of the people still have their jobs. The people there are so happy about the governor's response to the beer virus, and this is true, they threw her a parade. They threw her a parade. Who does that? People in South Dakota, I guess. Here, everybody's complaining. You know why? Because there's a handful of things to do in New Jersey. And at the top of that list are going to restaurants, going to the movies, and going bowling for indoor activities. Obviously, Jersey Shore. But even that he had to ruin. Even that is being ruined because you can't go inside restaurants. And meanwhile, we have all sorts of corporations open, but little businesses are the ones who get hit. Little businesses are the ones who can't afford this. They're the ones that could be open. Do you know why little businesses should be open? It's because they don't get that many customers. Okay? If you run a greeting card shop, you'd be lucky to see 10 people the whole friggin' day. And they're not going to be in the store at once. It's going to be like one person comes into the store. Maybe 2. Maybe you get 2 people. Maybe a rush of 3 would come in. In a whole store, that's nothing. Plus they have masks. Plus they know the social distance. Plus you're wiping everything off. Come on. You're killing these people. They have businesses that will never recover now. But Phil continues to dither. It's just ridiculous. He knows the numbers, and yet he won't open things. People are scared. I know people who are very scared. They're so scared they won't go out anymore. And then suddenly you're just going to flip. I know what's going to happen. When this ceases to be politically viable for the people pushing it, gone. After November, gone. Be like it never happened. Oh, beer virus. Oh, we got a vaccine. Oh, most people, we overestimated it. Yeah, we had days last week where no one died. And yet they kept reporting it because they're like going back in the hospice and digging up every old person who died. Oh, they had COVID too? Okay, that's a beer virus death. Damn it, I said it. Keep trying to say beer virus. Anyhow, yeah, and here it is right here. This is New Jersey Penn. Long-term care accounts for half of all deaths. Okay? That's half of all the deaths were people who are on death's door, essentially. These are people who were already dying. Now, it's true, the beer virus hastened that. And that's not good. Nobody wants that. Then you have to ask yourself, why did Phil Murphy put recovering beer virus patients in the nursing homes with them? Why hasn't he spent the money on nursing homes to make them like spaceships? Instead, he is wasting his time using state resources to keep healthy people from opening their businesses, from going to the gym, from going to events. These are healthy people. Their chances of getting the virus are less than 0.1%. Literally. If I told you you could make $100 and there was a 99.99 chance that you could make that $100, but you had to bet $10,000 to do it. But the chances were 99.99 you'd win. I think you'd do it. I think you go, yeah, sure. Because it would be easy money. People have to go and live their lives. There are things that kill people. The odds of that are way higher than that. So we can't close everything down and keep scaring people over this. We have to look at the numbers and the science and be real about it. These guys are using it as a political wedge. And in November, it'll disappear like it wasn't even there. Speaking of other quarantine things, Invasive Bug forces additional quarantine restrictions in New Jersey. Yeah, just keep locking down the state. That'll solve everything. Look, this bug showed up in 2014, according to the article. This is the New York Post. This isn't some right-wing rag. This is the New York Post. 2014. Now we got to quarantine. It's too late to quarantine. It's been around for 6 years. Nobody knew about this stupid bug. And in fact, I just saw these bugs today. It's funny that this article came out. I saw the bugs today. One landed on my leg, and I went, ah! They're kind of like the stink bugs in terms of how they land on you. You know, they're very clingy that way. But they don't do anything. They don't bite, I don't think. Not people. But they're kind of like bigger, like moths. And they seem relatively harmless, but apparently they're not harmless to trees. And my theory is, since they are from South Korea and China, a few weeks back, you might remember there were these mysterious packages coming from China full of seeds that people were getting at random. I'm wondering if some of those seeds were infected with this bug. And they tried to, the Chinese government trying to push this bug on the United States for some reason. Maybe it'll damage the crops to a point. It'll hurt us somehow. I don't know. The Communist Party in China, they're not good at much, but they're good at sneaky things like that. So I wouldn't put it past them. So, continuing, the upside of the pandemic, I guess, boat sales rise in New Jersey during pandemic. I guess it makes sense because, you can get on a boat with your family. You don't have to worry about social distance. You already live with these people. And you could do normal boating things. And, it's not for me. I puke. I'm getting a little queasy just looking at this boat. That's how bad my sea legs left me. Little Joan, you'd be bad on a boat. Yeah, you'd probably just poop everywhere. But if you're into boating, it's a little expensive, obviously. You got to pay. The fuel is like ridiculous, I hear. And then, of course, at the end of the year, you got to pack up the boat, and you either got to dock it somewhere, or you got to put it on a trailer and put all these things on it and, wrap it up. They have services, though. They come in and they just shrink wrap your whole boat. But, if you can afford it, and you like fishing, or just boating, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense. But I think Murphy has to start opening things. He just has to. It's not going to matter if he goes 25% or 50%. Like, none of that matters. What he has to do is just say, listen, you know about the virus. You got to try to limit people so they're not too crowded. Tell them to wear a mask. Tell them to social distance. And keep wiping things down. That's all you can do. And hope that they do it. Now, a lot of people, they won't. And the moment you open this stuff up, people are going to get infected. They will. But, you know, some restaurant that spreads the infection all over the place, they're going to go out of business in a heartbeat. No one will touch them. And their entire staff will be under quarantine for 2 weeks, and it'll probably kill the whole business. But, you know, if they're not on the verge of collapse already. But we've already lost 30% of the restaurants in New Jersey. They're shuttered, and they're not coming back. There are small corporations, regional chains, same thing. They're all Chapter 11. They're all closing. I've already started to see a lot of empty buildings just driving around South Jersey. And this is going to continue even after he finally opens things up. So we need to open things now. If South Dakota can do it, we can do it. And, you know, there's evidence to suggest that everybody's going to get this thing. And until everybody does, it's just going to linger. And it's going to be around. And there's going to be cases. So at this point, we flatten the curve. The hospitals won't be overrun, especially in New Jersey and New York, where we already got hit pretty bad. With all the other things in place, we'll probably get a little bit of a peak once things go back to normal. But, you know, driving everybody out of business isn't the answer either. And the fact that these nursing homes are the most vulnerable and you're doing nothing to protect them while trying to protect children whose immune systems, you know, unless they're compromised, they're pretty much immune. You've got to focus on the nursing homes and the old people. It's the only way. It's the only way. All right, so that's it, South Jersey. One final thought. Tim Pool, the great Tim Pool, is reporting that the unions in the post office have endorsed Biden. And, you know, there's a big fight over mail-in ballots. And what he said, I'm going to repeat here because I think it's a perfect analogy. So if you support Biden, let me ask you something. If a guy in a MAGA hat showed up, right? Let's say he was a cop, because the cop union apparently endorsed Trump in one of the precincts, I think, in New York and a lot of the cities. So imagine you're a Biden supporter and they decide the cops are going to collect your ballot. Would you feel comfortable giving it to a cop? Like, oh, yeah, give it to me. Yeah, I don't think you would be. So why would you be comfortable giving your ballot to the post office if they've already endorsed Biden? They shouldn't be allowed to endorse anybody, first off, but they've endorsed Biden. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why do we have to game the system? Why can't we just have the damn vote? We all know that Trump's going to win this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Are you really that desperate to destroy the credibility completely of the Democratic Party? Because that's where we're headed. We're headed for the complete implosion of the Democratic Party. So think long and hard before you do a mail-in ballot. Now, obviously, if you've got medical issues or you're in that category of people who could get the beer virus and die, you probably want to mail it in. I mean, it's too big of a risk for you. But for most people, it's not that big of a risk. You go in, you social distance, you wear your mask, you vote, you go home, you wash your hands. The end. Think about it, South Jersey. We'll see you next time.